I am going to begin my run in 3, 2, 1, go. Hello and thank you everybody for tuning in, whether you're up extra early, up extra late, or simply European. I'm BeardedBusker and I'm going to be speedrunning out there somewhere in the all collectibles category. I play as Yuri, a space cop chasing down his arch nemesis Grigori, and along the way I'm going to be picking up all collectibles, which include 11 abandoned cores, an upgraded Gauss gun, 3 ancient alien artifacts, and talking to a trader to upgrade my Gauss gun. So you see, this is a 2D platformer with a teleport gun, very appropriate following up the portal runs. Unfortunately, all of the tech is very front-loaded, so I have to do something pretty advanced here and explain after. This is what an abandoned core looks like, by the way. Whoops. Okay, so what I actually just did was a pretty advanced trick to get on top of the game world. So you could say we're out of bounds, and then I just... oh, shoot. So that was like a worst-case scenario situation. I just activated a screen warp glitch that overloads basically the game engine and transitions you a full screen either to the left or right. And I had a 50% chance of that happening. It sent me the wrong way. That's a pretty major time loss this early in the run. So the way the teleportation works is it applies conservation of momentum. If he's rising when he teleports, he's rising when he respawns. That's how that was supposed to work, so I just skipped a screen of out of bounds. If he's falling when he spawns, he's still falling. But the game locks his Y velocity in place for a few frames, so if he's either on solid ground or rising, you can get boosted jumps and free jumps out of the air. If you want to jump off of a respawn, though, Yuri has to have been touching the ground in the frame before the teleshot hits, and so that's why a lot of these jumps are not as free as they look. So I'm about to go out of bounds over the game again. The problem with this category is it's not quite marathon safe because the opening 5 minutes are just a brutal gauntlet of things that cause major time losses and a couple actual run killers. So I'm actually surprised I just got that trick. That was a, as you saw, near pixel perfect transition over a screen to having to duck down back into more of the game world. This game has some metagaming built in because pure backtracking from where I am now to the very beginning screen isn't actually possible. Sorry, I just fell again. So you have to know to either save warp or death warp to actually 100% this game. And so past the checkpoint that I touched, I actually wouldn't be able to touch any more checkpoints on my first pass through. The good news for routing is that means that most of the collectibles are kind of a judgment call whether you want to get them your first or second time through the opening of the game. So we're going to save warp here after getting the Gauss gun. And by the way, every time you pick up an item, the game gives a little dialog box telling you you've gotten an item. And then the game runs for a few frames before that dialog box spawns, so in a couple places, thanks to the runner, this is how my mind works, we've found that you're able to actually exit the room during those few frames and skip this dialog box. There I was actually supposed to save warp, sorry, I got a little sidetracked. And so now we're making our second pass through the opening 2 minutes of the game. And the route that I've chosen means that I have to do this out of bounds trick again. So to recap, I need to get a tile away from the wall for any teleshots to get taken, and then I need to exploit the fact that my Y velocity is locked to first get a free jump, and then second exploit my rising velocity to climb above this ledge. The developers did not intend you to be able to get to that corner. And I'm having a little trouble with it because it's a pretty precise trick. Oh, come on. Ay. This is a disaster. This can happen though. We've had 11th and 12th try attempts in races. And with this warp glitch here, I'm actually skipping a full screen of out of bounds if I do it right. So, that's a close to 6-second save. You see how long one screen can be. Oh, baloney. Okay, so this is kind of a rough opening. I was supposed to duck in to get this hard container here, and I was just cutting it kind of close to try and set up kind of a sweet transition. It was an example of a risk I don't regret taking it, but lost a little time. Right now my in-game time is actually higher than my typical real-time split when I get this upgraded Gauss gun, which is going to be another save warp. So I guess I should talk about why we have two separate categories, one called any percent, one called any percent in-game time. In-game time, the in-game timer doesn't continue when you save warp, pause, or there's a major graphical glitch that, thanks to the donation incentive being met, I'm going to get to show off. So we have kind of two implicit rule barriers by using the in-game timer that makes the categories fundamentally different. Any percent in-game time is kind of our flagship. This category is right now our second most run. No, that might not be true. Any percent might still have one more runner. So there is another theoretically about time equal route through the opening 5 minutes of the game, and you wouldn't actually see these screens at all. Okay, so this time I have to remember not to go out of bounds when I'm climbing the up-down junction. Oh, and by the way, so using that out-of-bounds skip, we pretty much don't get any exposition about all these colored light beams and enemies. Basically, red beams cancel your teleshot, so you never really want to hit them. Plus, you get a dialogue box, so in the real-time categories, that's a time loss. The blue beams, as you've seen, more or less act as walls. There's one more type of beam that we're going to be using and abusing later in the run. So this is the first dialogue sort of exploit that This Is How My Mind Works discovered. By the way, he also runs Lovely Planets, so some of you might recognize him from that. So I was able to actually transition back to the left side of the screen in the frames between me getting the collectible, so I didn't have to climb all the way back. It's a pretty good save. We're heading back into the alien city now where we got the Gauss gun. Now you see the game pretty clearly wants you to go to the right there, but that has you end up below this bridge. You have to go underground into the Tree Man's domain. There are no collectibles there, so it's never a time save to go that way. There's 5 or 6 additional screens you have to cross. Alright, there's one more core above this city, so I'm just now trying to set up good shots right away when I first cross into a room with the telegun. You see it moves quicker than Yuri does, so you pretty much want to get in position to fire as quick as you can and then go. There's another pretty cool dialogue skip coming up that hopefully I'm going to death warp here. I have to get the last alien artifact, and I want to just clip the corner of it and die in the lava before, yes, got it, before the dialogue respawns. Alright, so you see whenever I circle around like that, oh, doggone it, I'm trying to get a tile away from whatever wall or beam I'm shooting so that I can get extra jump height. And so now we're underground. If anybody has seen an any percent in-game time of this run, those are pretty frequent. There's about 45 not active runners, but 45 total runs on the leaderboard. This next minute or so looks exactly like that category, because there's no collectibles down here either. You just can't really skip this section of the game yet. We have a theoretical skip, but it's near Taz quality. By the way, you might have just noticed Yuri was facing left and shooting right. That's a bizarre graphical glitch that I can't really explain. So these rooms, speedrun play is pretty similar to just fast casual play. You just kind of know the way the room is laid out, take advantage of the mechanics, have it memorized in your muscle memory. I'm coming up on probably the scariest portion from a marathon standpoint. None of the tech is really that advanced, but I'm about to go about 45 seconds without seeing a checkpoint. And so if I make one careless mistake, I get sent all the way back to the bottom of this tower. So those big guys have the same amount of hit points as these little guys. The big ones are called brutes, the little ones are called chompers. And also the brutes look like they're 2 tiles tall, but their hitbox is just shy of 2 tiles tall. That's why I was able to fire a teleshot just on top of him and not have to worry about him. Had I nicked him and taken damage, I would have just killed him as a safe strat. Alright, we're going to get the 9th abandoned core now. And I'm going to try a little trick shot here that I probably shouldn't, given what I just told you, but YOLO. Okay, that nearly went terribly, but it didn't. Alright, now we're in a sector of the game. This is like where we've first seen the evidence of Grigori's devastation on this planet. And these shots are not as hard to line up as you'd think because we have tiles in the background. So you just get Yuri to the right height. Typically his exposition doesn't even matter. Gravity doesn't apply to the teleshot beam, so you're good to go. So these worm guys are actually our friends. They're NPCs, and they've been enslaved by Grigori. The ones dressed in Samus Aran helmets are actually guards that can open gates for us. There's 3 in the game, and we only have to talk to 2 of them because of a late game skip. Now I just messed up a little chain jump, again exploiting the locked Y velocity being stuck rising in a narrow corridor, but it wasn't really a time loss because I got the same elevator cycle I otherwise would have. The basement is my big run killer, and I have to pick up a core, and this is on kind of a sensitive cycle here. I just have to not do anything dumb. And then we're going to talk to the second guard here. And then we have to actually, okay, so I died, but it's not a huge time loss this time through. On the way out, I have to beat a really tight cycle. When I used to run this game, I had my laptop on terrible settings, and this room actually would lag sufficiently that the chomper there would load 1 tile too far to the right, and make it impossible for me to actually run under those elevators like I did. Ah, doggone it, gonna miss the cycle. Man. Slop, slop, slop. I'm sorry, guys. Alright, so we're climbing out of the basement, and we have yet another This Is How My Mind Works dialogue skip coming up. we're going to hopefully exit a room upon collecting the last abandoned core here. I just want to set up a save warp for later. Come around. So we're going to... Oh, I was just shy. That dialog box ideally does not appear. And we continue our climb. Now I'm going to talk to the trader because I have all 11 abandoned cores. He's going to upgrade my spaceship, which is going to make the boss fight faster in the end, and it's also required for this category. When you pick up an item, the game autosaves. When you talk to this dude, it does not. So this is the one and only time I actually have to save and exit on a save warp. From here, the push to the end is quite easy technically, because we have an upgraded fire rate from our Gauss gun that I really haven't gotten to show off until now. Without the upgrade to the weapon, you fire like 1.5 bullets per second. It's pretty slow. Alright, one thing I didn't really get to show off in this run is the green beam jump, where we get a jump at the top of a green beam hitting, and that lets us... missed a damage boost. Lets us skip certain obstacles. Alright, now it's imperative... I've got to save. So those ghosts, unlike the other enemies in the game, actually eat your teleshot. There's only 2 of them in this room and the next room. They could have done so much more with this, I think. Alright. Missed a damage boost here, which is kind of a bummer. I was trying to jump right after that teleshot hit, and it was actually going to give me darn near a full jump height, so that I could just cross right to the ledge without taking out the brute. Just wasn't happening, that's fine. Alright, so now I gotta do probably the hardest green beam jump in this game, and I got it second try, which is fine by me. So normally I would have had to cross into the upper left corner of that room. Alright, so we're going through. This room references a nice illusion if you know Weeble stuff. Here we're going to think 4th dimensionally, and we just skipped the 3rd guard. That bottom shot had to hit so that I was in a ground state in order to jump. Alright, I'm going to try something a little advanced here, just feeling risky. Didn't get it. Bummer. And because I'm shooting right, I got to try it again. No other choice. Nope, did not get it. I was trying to use the same tactic I used to get out of bounds earlier, to skip having to cross this room 6 times, but it burned me in the end. Oh man, if my IGT is almost 11 minutes already, this is a slow run. That's okay. Ali the Trader is not a dinosaur. I think he's just an overgrown energy brute. Okay, this boss is not actually a pushover, but with the upgraded firing rate, he more or less is. He switches walls every 3 times you hit him, and so in all categories of this game, you can stop him from ever entering his attack pattern, but if you let him get into it, it's actually quite a challenging fight. Alright, that's the light orb, which fixes up my spaceship. And so now we're going to make a climb back. This actually wraps around. You might have remembered I picked up a core here. The first screen of the game has the boss trigger on that vine tile. And get ready on time. 3, 2, 1. He's dead. Time. Alright, and so I should clarify. Thank you first of all. I didn't get permission to shout out the viewer who donated for the donation incentive of reading copy pasta during dead time. But in my submission, as I specified, that's actually a separate category. And so it takes advantage of a pretty ridiculous graphical overflow glitch that's going to lag my game to heck and also let me finish the game from the opening screen. So thank you to that viewer. Technically what I'm going to do is not a valid run, just in the interest of time. I would have to start from the opening splash screen because it involves a graphical variable counter that overflows, and it starts from 0 every time you boot up the game. 1246, okay, that's not abysmal. Could have been better, but a lot of stuff happened early on, so I'll take it. Alright, so this opening 2 minutes, this is only 5 minutes by the way, I'm not going to run too far over. Sorry that there was a mix-up. I can't touch any checkpoints though. This is just a race to the Gauss gun, and then I'm going to save warp back to the opening screen, and then I'm going to do my best dramatic reading of some copy pasta. So this is all we've seen before. I don't have to get that core this time though. So we're going to circle jump and then get out of here. Yeah, hey, that happened first time that time. And we're going to overwhelm the game. It's not really a broken game. It's just a simple game on a simple engine, and so there are certain things you could just kind of brute force your way through. And that's an example of one of them. When you're on a tile with 3 corners, which they purposely didn't really put any in the main path of the game, it's trying to load so many transitions at once, it just invariably gets one of the coordinates off. It's basically XML is how the rooms are linked to each other, and so once this is how my mind works, and another runner, Rezunes, figured out how to make that predictable, it became a staple in all of the categories. Alright, we're going to try and get this again. That for me is the hardest trick, so that's what happens when you fail it. Alright, so we're almost to the Gauss gun. Ah, that was sloppy. That's a bummer. Okay, let's see if I can do this. No, okay. Sorry about that. And this is all, by the way, time that I can't use towards the dead time. I'm going to briefly explain the glitch when we're back on the opening screen, and then some copy pasta. Alright, how you doing, alien? Okay, so to get the gun, save warp. There's a neat trick shot that you can do in the any percent in-game time category, where you just sort of instantly spawn back on the other side. Alright, in this room, these smoke particles are eventually going to, they increase a variable every time they're rendered, and eventually that variable overflows, and when it does, the smoke stops rendering, the frame rate crashes to a halt, and the game loses its ability to load screen transitions. So if I left the screen to the right, the game would know where I was, but it wouldn't load the screen. And so what that means is with the Gauss gun now, I can crawl around the left edge. You might have just remembered from the last run, this tile right here with the vines is the boss trigger. So I kind of snake around and cause a couple wall ejects, because both adjacent screens are somewhat half loaded. Cause a couple wall ejects, and then I come back up, and I hit the boss trigger like magic. And that takes 2 minutes and 42 seconds to activate, so while we wait... I'm a Twitch employee, and I'm stopping by to say your Twitch chat is out of control. I have received several complaints from your very own viewers that their chat experience is ruined because of constant emote and copy pasta spamming. This type unacceptable by Twitch's standards, and if your mods don't do something about it, we will be forced to shut down your channel. Wish you all the best. Alright. I also want to just get something off of my chest. This is going to be tough for me. Hello. I am currently 13 years old, and I want to become a penguin. I know there's a million people out there just like me, but I promise you, I'm different. On December 14th, I'm moving to Antarctica, home of the greatest penguins. I've already cut off my arms, and now I slide on my stomach everywhere I go as training. I may not be a penguin yet, but I promise you, if you give me a chance and the support I need by subscribing to my channel, I will become the greatest penguin ever. Thanks. Both of those I took from the speedrun.com forums, which has, I believe, a sticky thread dedicated to copy pasta. I have to watch when the music goes into a halftime drop here. Oh, there's my glitch. Alright, so I'm going to go left. Can we jump right? Ta-da! Alright, so now the game will actually hardlock if I fail the boss, and you're going to see it takes much longer both because of game lag and because I didn't talk to the trader on this run. So I only have, you know, my normal twin shots. And then once he's gone, alright. So that's out there somewhere in just over 4 minutes. Sorry, Allie, I did kind of the best I can do. Alright, so yeah, here's what the actual closing dialogue looks like. Everyone is waiting to greet Yuri as their hero once more, but Yuri can't go back home, not yet. Guys, he's about to say the title of the game. For Gregorius still. Out there somewhere. Thank you all for watching. And thank you for letting me go a couple minutes over to honor that incentive. Thank you for making the incentive happen. This was an absolute blast, and I look forward to seeing some more cool runs this morning and afternoon.